New Super Mario Bros. 2 is likely the most divisive title in the New Super Mario Bros. Series. There were already 2 entries that weren't that old, and this game was one of 2 Mario games that were released in 2012, within a roughly 3-month gap if you were here in the States. And its main selling point that was hammered home in its marketing was hyperinflation. And there weren't even any striking new gameplay mechanics, aside from the returning raccoon leaf from Mario 3 and the all-new golden flower. However, this game has a side mode that I've played way more than the story mode, and I feel like it justifies the game's existence and identity, which adds a surprising amount of complexity to what most people view as a benign piece of media. Coin Rush. Coin Rush is unlocked after you've progressed to a certain point in the story mode. Progressing farther and farther in the story mode unlocks the 3 base difficulty modes of Coin Rush. Coin Rush puts you in 3 randomly selected courses from story mode, where you must collect as many coins as you possibly can, but your time limit is greatly reduced. You now understand the meaning of the name. The portion of the game that they pull from is dictated by which pack you select, the latter courses generally being harder than the earlier courses. The first course is always above ground, the second is either underground, underwater, or a ghost house, and the third is always a castle or midway castle. You do earn more time when hitting a checkpoint, and some courses have extra timepieces strewn around, but even then it's not a whole lot. Still, you'll need all the time you can get, as letting the clock run out, or if you let Mario bite the dust, it's a game over, and you have to restart from the first course. If you can beat the trio of courses, you're not only able to save that record to your profile to replay the same set of courses later on in order to go for a high score, but you can also share that record with folks locally via StreetPass. You can then challenge the records of those that you connect with via StreetPass to try and get a higher coin amount than them so as to keep your fragile ego intact. It's a straightforward premise, but there's a lot more to consider to maximize your potential in this mode. Let's start with the fact that this is pulling courses right from story mode. This means you can pay attention to where different secrets and items are, and perhaps even do trial runs in said courses to figure out where the best pathing may be. I emphasized the can because doing this in practice for the game's 80-something course list is not practical for really anyone to devote time to, albeit some of these courses never actually show up in Coin Rush, like the Auto Runner courses, the final boss castle in World 6, the final stage of World Star, along with specifically World 3B due to it forcing the use of the mini mushroom. This means that, while you're inevitably going to remember where things are in some courses, there will always be at least some other courses that you have no idea where the good coin spots and secrets are. Thus comes into play what was talked about in this video in the Iwata Asks series, the player's Mario improv skills.
So, it tests your Mario improv skills in a way. Plus, the fact that a single mistake means game over should keep players on the edge of their seats.
I describe this as not just the player's technical skills of controlling Mario with efficiency, but as well as their intuition of where secrets might be, taking your current account and remaining time into consideration. Even if you don't know where for sure some hidden blocks or secrets or power-ups may be, if you spend enough time with the game, you can almost start to sense where these things may be. And why would you want to scout out these secret areas when you're on a tight timer? This introduces the art of balancing the high risk of a time up or game over versus the high reward of bolstering your score. Along with coins in varying denominations, there's also golden mushrooms, which appear in place of where 1-up mushrooms would appear in story mode, and these give you 50 coins a pop. Additionally, the star coins take on values of their own. In a given course, the first one you collect gets you 10 coins, the second one that you collect nets you 20, and the third gets you 50. Take note of how I worded that. That means that if, say, you just collect the first and third star coins, that still only gets you 10 and 20 coins respectively for a total of 30. If you want to maximize this income stream, you'll have to know exactly where the star coins and golden mushrooms are, get to them efficiently, all while finishing the course with time to spare if that's part of your strategy. Oftentimes, you'll have to think on the spot if it's worth being meticulous with your general coin collecting or not, if you know where a secret area is, and if it's worth risking spending time traveling to and from, not to mention in said area. Sometimes times, it may not even be worth going for a star coin if you know where there's a spot to get more coins, or even a spot that gives you the same amount of coins that's easier or quicker to get to, therefore saving you some precious seconds. You can't be so granular with scouting out secrets that you run out the clock, but just booking it to the goal pole means you're gonna be losing out on mad cash. Finding the right equilibrium is the name of the game. You should keep an eye not just on the timer, but how much of the course you've cleared in relation to it, which are both vital information when you're making these split-second decisions. Another part of your strategy is when to use your golden flower. Upon felling the final boss in story mode, your game will then have perpetual access to one golden flower in your item reserve in every coin rush run from then on. This can not only turn brick blocks into coins, but you also earn coins from defeating enemies, both of which can work through walls if they're close enough to the shockwave, as well as just from jumping on Koopas, which you can use to rack up quick cash in certain areas. Additionally, being gold also doubles the coins you get from enemies when they've turned gold via the golden rings in certain courses, as well as doubling the coins you earn from star coins and golden mushrooms. Usually, this is best to use on the second course in a run, as underground, underwater, and ghost house courses have a good amount of brick blocks and or clumps of enemies to catch in one blast of the flower, but it may be more advantageous to use it on another course if you know there's one or multiple spots with lots of enemies next to gold rings. You just gotta not lose it, which does happen at the end of a stage if you still have it active. You just go back to Fire Mario. Even though the gold flower can be advantageous to use on certain courses, it may almost be detrimental on other courses compared to using the raccoon leaf when it comes to finishing said course. Every non-castle course finishes off with the classic goal pole, and it's a crucial aspect to maximizing your coin rush potential. If you hit any part of the goal pole itself, you get nothing, unless you're Gold Mario, in which case you get more coins the closer you are to the top. However, if you can manage to grab the very top, your score gets doubled, after you get 1 coin for every 5 seconds that are left on the clock. This is why I like to keep a raccoon leaf on me whenever possible. As long as there's enough of a runway to build up your P meter, you can take flight and guarantee that you hit the top. Granted, some levels have end segments without any enemies, and without a good setup to hit the top if you aren't a raccoon, so it's nearly impossible to hit the top. Why do I specify enemies being a factor? Well, the gold flower actually has a special property where it supersedes every other power-up you collect. This means that the only way to go from Gold Mario to Raccoon Mario in a single course is to let an enemy hit you, then call upon the item you have reserved. Thankfully, you don't have to do this sort of song and dance if it's the third and final course, as upon defeating the final boss that resides there, your score gets automatically doubled. With all this potential doubling of your score, it's rather odd at first blush that the counter in Coin Rush actually maxes out at an even 30 grand. But therein lies how you can trivialize the mode, if you have the right setup of courses. In your first course, if you can manage to collect 3,750 coins before the goal pole and hit the top, that doubles to 7,500. Then, all you need to do is hit the top of the goal pole in course 2 to double your count to 15 grand. Then beat the boss in the final to get the max amount. This is certainly not attainable in every configuration of courses, but it's good to keep this number in mind when doing the first course. Don't bother collecting more than this in the first course if possible. In the standard packs, the golden course to achieve this with is World 3-4 in the Flower Pack. Get a raccoon leaf, rush to around this part of the level, go up this hidden vine, wait ever so patiently for this Koopa to walk around here, bop him with your tail, whip out your flower, hit the gold ring, grab the vine, and watch the cash pour in. Just make sure not to waste your time getting more than the golden number. Doing a coin rush run with this as your first stage, and saving your record upon completing the pack, will let you re-challenge your record over and over again. And yes, this is partially how I maxed out the counter back in the day. This also means it's completely impossible for anyone to actually beat your score via StreetPass. So that's why my current StreetPass record is a set of courses where maxing out the counter is very hard, so then folks still have an iota of hope in getting more than that. Speaking of StreetPass, you don't get to see someone's record until you've challenged it for the first time, and if you can beat the record, you're given 1,000 extra coins for your global counter via this crown coin. You don't have to beat them on your first attempt, just as long as you beat them at all once, you'll get that extra cash from them. Oh right, when you're selecting what pack to play, you can choose to play normally or as White Raccoon Mario, who is invincible and always lets you fly without building up the P meter. However, this supersedes even the Golden Flower, meaning there's always going to be coins you cannot get if you play as this mode due to being locked out of Gold Mario. Your counter also sports a White Raccoon tail, letting everyone know that you're a sinful human being. While the 3 base level packs offer plenty of replayability, 10 additional packs, all containing exclusive courses, were released as paid DLC. In fact, New Super Mario Bros. 2 was the first-party Nintendo game to not only offer paid DLC, but also the first full retail Nintendo game that was also distributed via digital download on the 3DS eShop. Some of these packs were all about maxing out the coin counter, as an easy way for folks to grind up their overall counter. Others are the embodiment of the risk versus reward of the main Coin Rush packs, by giving plenty of branching paths and offering different decisions to make to maximize your run, and some that are designed to be very difficult technically, the last pack quite literally being named the Impossible Pack for being one of the hardest challenges ever offered in a Mario game. Back in the day, these packs were about $2.50 American a pop, and you could save some cash by buying them in bundles. The Gold Classics pack was released for free for a limited time to celebrate everyone collectively obtaining 3 billion coins. Come February 2013, it cost the standard $2.50 to obtain. These packs added a good amount of replayability to an already replayable mode, and some extra spice to those who may be more technically skilled. A special version of New Super Mario Bros. 2 was pre-installed on certain 3DS models, dubbed the Gold Edition. This version included all the Gold Rush DLC packs installed, but it also made the mode a little more dull, I guess? In the normal game, if you die, you must restart the run. But specifically in the Gold Edition of the game, if you die during a Coin Rush run, the game just goes right into the next course, while still keeping your coin tally intact for that run. In my opinion, this completely takes the tension out of avoiding death in a run, and takes out a lot of the appeal of the risk versus reward aspect that's part of Coin Rush's core design. That's also why I view the standard game as the superior version, as opposed to this botched rule set in Gold Edition. Yeah, Gold Edition has all the DLC baked in, but it's not super difficult to just mod your 3DS and inject the DLC in the base game, with the eShop being closed and all. Or just restart from the beginning if you die in the Gold Edition to simulate the genuine rule set of the normal game. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a misunderstood game. Yes, the story mode is relatively safe and doesn't take a lot of risks, but the true innovation is in Coin Rush mode. The underlying complexities and strategies one must consider before doing a run, including the management of your power-ups, all while not dropping the ball by dying, as well as being infinitely replayable not just with the base packs, but via the DLC as well as StreetPass to go against those around you, was a special kind of sauce that I don't think will ever be replicated again. It's genuinely the reason why I played the game as much as I did back in the day. If I just had 5 to 10 minutes and wanted to play something quick, this is what I played. I love this mode so much, to the point that New Soup 2 is one of my favorite Mario games, period. Now if you'll excuse me.
Coins